Hi, everybody. Welcome back. So last time we had talked about what is a sanity check, and then we gave a brief review of character strings. So the sanity check that we're going to choose for this data is that, okay, we're talking about food stamps. It's dependent on income. So that means that we would expect that zip codes that have on average higher incomes should have lower proportions of food stamps. Okay. This is not a hypothesis that we're testing. This is just based on logic and based on the rules of how food stamps work. So that's one of the things that makes it a sanity check. So the sanity check here is we're saying, okay, we're taking something that we already know should be true and confirming that we can see it in the data. Okay. So step one here is that we want to find a food stamps metric. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the metadata that we've already cleaned up. So you remember this one, we've already removed all of the margins of error. We've gone through and we've cleaned this up a little bit. And we're going to add a column that says, can we detect the string food stamps? And also, can we detect the string percent? Because we don't want the count of people on food stamps. We want the proportion of people who live in those zip codes. Otherwise, we need the populations, and that's just going to be kind of a pain in the butt. So we say, okay, well, I want to create a column that's saying, okay, which columns have information about food stamps, which columns also have information about percent, and then give me the columns where both of these things are true. Okay, so we get 76 columns, and notice here we've got estimates, percent of households receiving food stamps, and a whole bunch of other stuff over here that we can't really see yet. So we say, okay, well, we need to look at these columns because these are column names. We need to figure out, well, which columns are the right ones for us. So what we can do is we can pull these out. We can use the pull function, and we can read these and inspect them manually. And when we do, we say, okay, well, you know what? This column looks good, whatever it was. And then we say, all right, well, here it is. Let's pull out the label for this column. So this is the percent of households receiving food stamps, and then food stamps or SNAP. So like, okay, this seems like one of the columns that we need. And so we're going to save this column ID, say, okay, we need this one. And then also we're going to say, let's find an income metric. So we can use the view command. Now I can't show an example of that. I can show it like a screenshot or something, but the view command won't work inside of Quarto documents, but it will work whenever you're just writing code on your own for your own use. So you can use the view command to really to visually inspect this data. So we're also adding, we say, okay, string detect, give me all of the columns related to income. And so we see here there are 6 columns related to income. And well, what do we have here? So we need to pull these out. And let's see, we've got household income in the past 12 months, 2021 inflation adjusted dollars, median income dollars. Okay, so this looks pretty good. And oh, I'm sorry. There's a total, there's a percent, but so we can say, all right, well, we say, all right, let's grab this information right here. And so we've got the estimated total households and their income in the past 12 months. Okay. And we probably ought to also be looking at the percent as well, like the estimate percent of total households. Okay. So in the video, I'm showing the total number of households, but if you look at the percent of total households. And so now what we're going to say is like, okay, we've got the columns that we care about. So we're going to have the food stamps columns that we care about, and we're going to have the income columns that we care about, and I'm going to rename them. So here's my proportion of food stamps. Oh, and right here, median household income. So I'm so sorry. This is the one. Let's see. Yeah, estimate total. So median household income. That's what we want. Median household income, not proportion. I'm so sorry. It's not a proportion of people that have low income or whatever. It's just median household income. So never when I said use the proportion, no, just do what I did the first time. So this will give us the median household income for the zip code, and this is the proportion of people or the proportion of households that receive food stamps in that zip code. And one of the things that we notice here is that we've got these symbols. Well, first of all, this is character information. And we don't want this to be character information because we want to eventually be able to make a plot of this. Well, in order to make a plot of this, we need it to be numeric information. Well, it's not numeric because there are these dashes here. And the dashes, we already, one of your exercises up above was to figure out what these dashes mean. And we know that these are supposed to be NAs. Okay, these are missing values. And so you can see right here, like for instance, this particular zip code where you've got 100% of the households on food stamps, but you don't really have information on the median household income. If you go and look up this zip code, it's this really tiny zip code in the middle of rural Florida, and it's got like 20 families that live in the whole zip code. So there's not a lot of information about that zip code because there's not a lot of people that live there. It's like 40 people that live in the whole zip code. So what we want to do is we want to say, okay, well, we need to replace all these dashes with NAs. Well, that sounds like string manipulation functions. So right here, we've got the same code as before. Give me all of the columns that we care about. And rename the name column to zip code tabulation area. Then we rename the food stamp column ID column to food stamp proportion, rename the income column ID column to the median household income, because like reading, you remember what they looked like before. They looked like this, like they're not human legible. It's very difficult to read what's going on there. And then, so we've pulled out the data that we care about. Then we say we need to change this to numeric. And the reason that we're okay just saying as.numeric and we're okay with these two warnings is because we already went through and studied the data and found out that these are supposed to be missing. This is the flag or the symbol to represent missing values. And so it's okay if we just take this directly to numeric, and these things now get replaced with NAs, which is perfectly reasonable, is what we needed to happen anyway. All right, so if you needed, and this is for you all, one of the exercises that you had up above was to get into your groups and think about what are some of the other things that you think might influence the relationship between the median household income and the food stamp proportions for the zip code. So the zip code level median household income and zip code level food stamp proportion, the proportion of households that use food stamps. There are many, you saw 200, like roughly 230 measurements here. So there's going to be at least like 225 other measurements that could theoretically be related to this that you may want to include in your figures. So you were supposed to go through the meta information and figure out what are the things that you're interested in. Now is the time in this code section right here where you pull all of the columns that you're interested in and clean them up. Okay, so you know how to clean them up. You've got dplyr code, you've got stringer code. You can clean up the columns and get a nice data set right here that has the information that you need, and it should have 1,013 rows and then however many columns. Maybe it's 5, maybe it's 8, whatever it is, it's going to have all of the columns that you care about. Okay, so now as part of the sanity check is we're just going to plot the relationship. Okay, and so we see right here that there is a nice negative relationship. So I've got the median household income on the horizontal axis. I've got the food stamp proportion on the y-axis, and we can see here there's this sort of curvilinear relationship that as the median household income increases overall over the zip code, that the proportion of families in that zip code on food stamps is going to decrease. Okay, so we've got our data layer, give me that income data set that I created as a subset of the original data, map the income to the x-axis, map the food stamp proportion to the y-axis, and give me a point geom, give me a scatter plot. Now we can clean up this figure quite a bit. So number one, we can't really see what's going on because there's too many points sitting on top of each other. Number two, anytime we're dealing with money, we probably need to be using a log transformation. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to the same data layer, the same mapping layer, but now we're going to transform the x-axis. We're going to use a log 10 scale. We're going to use this code right here, the label numbers for scales. You need to read about this. You need to understand what this thing is doing. So that's an assignment for you. And then because I don't want the points to all sit on top of each other, I'm going to change the alpha to be a 30% transparency. And then I'm going to add on a smoother. Okay. And I see right here, I've got this nice, still curvilinear line that as I increase the income, the median household income and the zip codes, that overall the food stamp proportion is going to go down. Okay. And here's a tip for you. If you've never seen this double colon operator, now usually when I'm describing a package, I will write the package as the package name followed by 2 colons so that people will recognize that this is a package. But basically, what this allows me to do is pull a function out of a package without calling library scales. So if I just want one function out of there, I can say, okay, give me the label number function out of the scales package without having to call library scales. Okay, so that's what this tip is talking about. Okay, so here are some exercises here. Now, this is where you need to talk in your groups because there's a lot of discussion that needs to happen here. There's a lot of work that needs to happen here. You need to pull in. So one of the things that I want you to do is I want you to rebuild a figure like this, but flag the South Florida zip code. So Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach counties, or whatever your third county was that you were interested in, and get to work on this. This is a chance for you to start practicing your data science skills. Okay. And this is where we'll end this video, and we'll pick back up hopefully the last video. Actually, you know what? We'll just go right here. So we'll wrap it up here. There's a lot of exercises for you to do. Okay, so the exercises up here and the exercises down here. Notice that this lesson there weren't as many videos, and that's because I want you and your groups to be doing the majority of the work on your own. I have taught you all of this stuff over here. It is time for you all to start using these skills. Okay. All righty then. And we'll see you in person, or we'll see you on Zoom, or however we see each other, or I guess Citrix, WebEx, GoToMeeting, Microsoft Teams, smoke signals, however it is that we communicate with each other, we will see each other, and you can show me some of the work that you've done for this to generate hypotheses and check that you've cleaned your data correctly. And once we've gone through all of this, this will give you sort of your first example, your first trial into real data science, and then you'll be able to do project 3. Project 3 will be tough, but you will be able to do it. So good luck. I believe in you. Thanks for watching.